Yes, being introduced rapid when the copyright-free music stops playing. Jolly good. Well, hello and welcome into this Tuesday's Entertainment News. I am Jonathan C. Walsh, here to discuss the latest happenings in the world of Hollywood, and in this case, the world of Scotland. Promoters trying to ban alcoholic sponsorship, and of course, my favourite piece of video game news I seem to speak about every single fucking week. Sometimes, multiple times a week. Hogwarts Legacy. A little bit of news come in regarding that. I have just seen my chair brush the microphone lead cable. I'm going to have to check the audio. If you bear with me. There's no one in here just now anyway. It's as quiet as Hogwarts Legacy at night. Sounds alright to me. I'm here to discuss the latest happenings in the world of entertainment. I'm going to go in. Sadly, the Stream Deck still doesn't work. And just manually select that little topic graphic bar there. As you can see, spoke about this last week as well. It was early reactions last week. The reactions were positive. They were saying it was like Star Wars in the MCU. It was great. This movie was wondrous. It was a psychedelic space trip. Everything was great. And I says at the time, it's all hunky-dory, it's all well and good. But sadly, some of these reactioneers, as I was calling them, some of these folks who are offered the luxurious position of going to premieres for Disney movies, sometimes their judgment isn't quite as cast iron, isn't quite as trustworthy as the mere mortals who are perhaps not as eloquent with words, but certainly a little bit more morally cast iron in terms of how they rate the movies. What I'm saying is some of these people are fucking bought. They may not know they're bought, but they're bought, they are emotionally bought by being given, bestown tickets to premieres, early access to big Disney releases. They are bought sometimes subconsciously. The early reactions not always indicative of the actual artistic brilliance of a movie. But I'm going to get into it. You could say all of those things for the reviewers as well. But I've got to talk about something. And I just thought, fuck it, I'll go through and I'll read a couple of these reviews and see just what they are saying about Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania. It is not long away. I believe it comes out on Friday the 17th of February. And I've just checked the calendar there to see if that is indeed Friday's date. It is. I am not losing my marbles quite yet. Molly Freeman of Screen Rant pushing their critique front and centre. This is long and winded. I am not going to go through every single one of these. I will probably do 3, maybe 4 at a push, and then I will bugger off jolly onto my next topic. My voice won't last that long. Sadly, I'm still battling. I'm in the throes of a throat infection. I think I'm coming to the end. I sincerely hope I am. But if I speak for too long, my voice will go off a fucking cliff. I can take it already. Molly Freeman, as such, Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania is a must-see for Marvel fans. Not only because it's a genuinely entertaining addition to the MCU, but because it's important to the overarching story of Phase 5 and the Multiverse saga. It is the beginning of Phase 5, Molly. It is absolutely paramount in terms of a foundation to everything that is going to grow out in Phase 5. This is Kang in his full glory, Warrior Kang. So this has to work. It simply has to. Or, yeah, the whole Phase 5 could potentially be starting off with a bit of subsidence in terms of a foundation, and that's never good. It's not good in buildings, and it's certainly not good in the metaphorical sense for fucking movies. That said, though, there are aspects of Quantumania that are best enjoyed by those who have seen the previous Ant-Man movies, like me. They aren't necessarily required viewing to understand this film. As with many MCU movies, Quantumania is most rewarding to those who have invested in the franchise. But it is enjoyable enough even for casual viewers. Still, the real draw of the movie is Major's Kang, who's poised to be the next major villain of the MCU, and while Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania effectively sets up the big bad, it also makes plenty of room for the little guy, and this is something that we have always seen exquisitely handled. Well, I say always exquisitely handled. The first Ant-Man movie was really a singular villain. It was Yellow Jacket, and it was your man who played him. I always forget his name. And it was a brilliant little movie. I loved Ant-Man, the first movie. It was just a wondrous introduction to Scott Lang, a wondrous introduction to this shrinking and expanding sort of wizardry from the brain cells of one Hank Pym. But it wasn't really until the second movie, which I feel was better than the first, where we get the first inklings of what they are discussing here, making room for the little guy, not just for Scott, who's not a little man. Paul Rudd is certainly not little by any means, but he can become very little in that suit. But also with the villains, you've got a wide array of different villainry going on in there. Ghost, big complex, calculated villain. You've got Walton Goggins, briefcase, obsessed villain. And then on a smaller scale again, you have the Jimmy Woo character. And that's something I feel they've done a real good job of in the Ant-Man movies, of balancing the villains, different scales of villainous outings. And it seems like in this, with the introduction of Kang the Conqueror, Jonathan Majors, next big bad of the MCU, it is of paramount importance that you make some space for the other characters. Jonathan, wondrous actor. I seen him in that Creed trailer that dropped during the Super Bowl. My God, that man is jacked out of his mind. Can't quite express in words how excited I am for this guy's role as Kang moving forward, and indeed in this movie. But it's important that you leave some room for the others, and it seems like they have done that, according to Molly anyway. Brandon Zachary, CBR. What's ultimately the most frustrating element of Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania is the script. That's concerning. That's the most important part of a movie. The movie fails to present a strong emotional arc. There's plenty of promising setup in the film's first act, which, according to the reactions out of the theatre, was the most boring part of the movie. It was stagnant, sort of trundling along, and then it explodes. You're saying it starts promising in the first act here, Brandon Zachary, and then it falls apart potentially. That's deeply concerning. That's contradictory statements, just a week apart. But look, he may redeem himself in this brief little snippet from his review. Let's get into it again. There's plenty of promising setup in the first act, with Scott and Cassie's relationship troubles quietly mirroring the lingering drama between the Pyms. There's potential for Scott to seek out the years he'd lost without his daughter, a bittersweet desire he shares with Jan. But none of that is paid anything beyond minor lip service as the film progresses. That's what happens when you introduce a fucking massive figure like Kang the Conqueror. It all subsides into sort of insignificance, for lack of a better word. And it leans heavily into these sci-fi tinted adventures within the quantum realm. As a result, the film largely relies on charm and comedy to keep the audiences engaged. But that's something that's done so well with Paul Rudd. It's something that's done so well with the sort of Ant-Man mini franchise within the greater umbrella of the MCU. Scott Lang, Paul Rudd, they give us the laughs. David Dastmalchian and Michael Cera, I think it is, Cera, Penna, I can't remember his name. They bring the laughs. Michael Douglas brings the laughs. This character is almost unique outside of like James Gunn's Guardians and obviously Taika Waititi's Thor to a lesser extent in Love and Thunder, and his ability to bring laughs. So, I mean, if we're relying on charm and comedy, then Paul Rudd alone has just oodles of it, so that's not something I'm too concerned about. You marry that with the brilliance of Kang the Conqueror of Jonathan Majors, then we could still have a very, very good fucking movie here. I'm going to skip the rap. I'm going to go to the Hollywood Reporter. Frank Ribery, maybe Frank, I don't know, depending on his sort of his ethnic background. Frank Sheck though doesn't sound very French, so I'm going to go with traditional Frank here. He said this to say, for better or worse, Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania is the most overtly sci-fi film in the series, and on that level it succeeds very well. To ascribe credit for the Quantum Realm's on-screen depiction would basically involve reprinting dozens of pages of credits. But suffice it to say that the visual design of the multifaceted settings, imaginative costumes and outrageous adventures on display is truly outstanding on every level. A stunning climatic battle involving a probability storm, don't ask, I won't. And that results in multitudes of Ant-Mans who at first don't get along but eventually learn to collaborate for their survival. Is the sort of mind-blowing sequence that you don't even need conscious altering substances to appreciate, but I'm sure that if you're on mushrooms, or indeed LSD, or maybe even just plain old cannabis, I'm sure the experience will be all the better for it, all the more enriching, getting in and watching this movie. I've never done any of those drugs. I'm partial to a little cannabis cookie or something, or brownie. May have to go over to the dam and try that. We can't do that legally over here. Not one for smoking. But I can imagine, based off of the experiences of other individuals who have fucking tried said drugs, it would be all the better, all the more enriching, watching a movie like this, under the influence, if you like. Man, I'm not expecting a fucking Oscar-worthy drama experience here. I'm expecting more of what the MCU delivers when it's at its absolute pomp, which is just exhilarating action, brilliant humour, some heartfelt moments that it doesn't linger on too long, and just sticking the landing with insanity, inducing visuals. This is something that we've had for the last 15 years or so, give or take. It's 2007, so it is 16 years now, which is mind-blowing in its own right. Something that they have done tremendously well. And I'm just really hoping that this sticks the land in this movie, that it delivers something truly special, not just for the Kang character moving forward, but for Scott Lang, who has been the butt of the jokes for the vast majority of his stint in the MCU in terms of box office performance, in terms of character stories, everything. He has been the butt of the jokes, the little man, the worst of all of the sort of sub-franchises. He deserves this character, he deserves this Kang sort of character coming in, he deserves a sort of bookending brilliant story for his little trilogy. I keep saying little. So I sincerely hope it does stick a landing. They are mixed though. Some are saying the script isn't great. Some are saying the weighty themes of family and missing years for Cassie and Scott isn't really borne out to any real sort of degree other than superficial. There is stuff that the ball has been dropped with certain elements of this movie, but if they can make up for it in other aspects, I'm not too fucking concerned. I'm going to read one more. And it will be... I'll go for Variety, because Variety are a prestigious publication. And Owen Gleiberman, with a name like that, he deserves to have his review read. He had a snippet of it anyway, if I can speak. Do a little tongue twister. Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled peppers. That'll keep the tongue nice and sharp. Susie shines some shells upon a seashore. You need to keep the tongue sharp, so there we go, I've kept it sharp. Quantumania is fun, as well as bedazzling, relentless and numbing. Then fun again, just when you think you've had enough, all of that gets mashed together. The Marvel films have never pretended to be standalone entities, yet I've rarely encountered a Marvel adventure that's this busy with a do or die saving the cosmos plot that feels this much like it exists simply to set up the next dozen chapters of something. That's fine. But that's what happens when you're launching Phase 5 of the Marvel takeover of movie entertainment. I see what you did there, Owen. Quantumania is no cheat. It sucks you in, hooks your eyeballs, rings you out. But if this is what Phase 5 looks like, God save us from Phases 6, 7 and 8. I don't know what that means. I don't know if that's a positive or a negative. I think it may be a positive. He's saying it sucks you in, it hooks you. It completely blows your mind. It's an enjoyable experience in the main. A good popcorn flick, and if this is what they're delivering, then they may be back in form. I've said it's mixed in the actual title. It never at any point did they say it was mixed. They just sort of picked fun at they says, and I'll read the exact title of this article that I've plagiarised to get the actual content for the show. Fun but lacks substance. And that's something that could be applicable to just about every single Marvel movie in the history of Marvel. It's fun, but it ultimately lacks a bit of substance. There is some that certainly have substance. The Winter Soldier, Civil War, Endgame, Infinity War. There is movies within this universe that do have substance and fun and noodles, but in the main, you could say they all lack substance in some level. They're not meant to have a huge amount of substance. They're popcorn flicks. They're sort of escapism from the shit drabness of living in the 21st century. And I'm not sitting here woe-betide like I'm some little pauper. Oh no, life's so terrible. People 100 years ago had it worse than us. 100 years before that, worse again. Medieval years, you were getting chopped up and fed to fucking mutts, rabid mutts. So rest assured, I'm aware that life is infinitesimally better now than it was 500 years ago, but still these movies take you out of the sort of shittiness of the real world. But they still ultimately do lack a bit of substance when it gets to the sort of the meat and bones of it. I'm going to briefly read this because this kind of interconnects, and it's the director himself, Peyton Reed. And again, that's continuity for you. Peyton's been involved in all of these movies, and I do like to see that. I like to see one continuous vision, for good or for bad. It's certainly something that could be levelled against the fourth trilogy, for instance. Starts with, I think, Kenneth Branagh. Don't know who did Dark World, but whoever it was, they need lined up against a wall and fucking shot. And then obviously it goes to Taika Waititi, who gave us a wondrous experience with Ragnarok. Less so with Thor Love and Thunder, which was ultimately piss poor. There's that continuity, that goes for the movie too. When you've got one director, one cast, working in cahoots with one creative vision, then usually, for good or bad, it will succeed on some level. Kang the Conqueror's been out praising Jonathan Majors. He said this: when I cast Jonathan in the role, he cast Jonathan in the role. Really? Maybe for this movie, but I'm sure that he did not cast Jonathan as Kang the Conqueror to play that villainous, multi-arcing, multi-movie sort of big bad presence. I'm pretty sure it wasn't Peyton Reed who did that. It will have been someone with a higher pay grade than Peyton. But I'm sure he cast him in this movie. When I cast Jonathan in the role, that was it, man. I had my eye on Jonathan because he's been so good for so long. He's having a moment now, right? But he takes it seriously. He's such a dedicated actor. He has the physicality that Kang needed. He's a conqueror. But we talk so much about how this guy experienced his time in a loop, not in a straight line. How he's had all these different experiences and what it's like to hang with someone like that. It's scary. And he just got all of that and just ran with it. And of course, for an actor to be able to play the guy and then another guy and a guy who are variants, they're all technically Kangs, but they're all radically different characters. I spoke about this, man. This is why I'm excited about this character, why I'm excited about Jonathan Majors portraying the character. He's got the presence, he's got the physicality, he's got the charisma, he's got the looks, he's got the confidence, he's got the acting chops to do this and do it very fucking well. And it must be a dream for an actor to get their teeth, sink their teeth into a role of this nature, where you do have potentially a dozen, 2 dozen different variations of the one character playing out over 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 different movies. And that ability to be a chameleon and change up what you're doing movie to movie to movie, it was one of the reasons when multiversal concepts were being touted for the MCU that I suggested bringing the likes of a Chris Evans back or a Robert Downey Jr. back to play a radically different version of Captain America, Steve Rogers, Tony Stark, Iron Man, darker, more malevolent versions, just completely twisted, different iterations of what we'd seen for the previous 10 years, giving these actors a chance to do something completely different. Jonathan Majors is living that dream with Kang the Conqueror. He can do this over the next decades, I don't know how long it's playing out these phases, and play completely different versions of the one character and just bring it all together beautifully into the sort of the end of it, the bookend if you like, with those 2 Avengers movies, the Kang Dynasty and I can't remember the other one, what it's fucking called, I'm blanking on the name just now. Really excited to see what this guy brings, man, to these roles. I think he's dynamite. I'm really looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to this movie dropping on Friday. I'm moving on though to this topic. That wasn't meant to be the topic. I'm going to just scrub that just now. I was briefly going to speak about Thunderbolts. I flung this in as a sort of last minute thing. Thunderbolts is not a movie I was immediately excited about. The name, everything about it's just beige. It just doesn't seem to work for me. It sounds shit. Thunderbolts. It sounds like a cast off of fucking, I don't know, some shite animatronics stop motion cartoon from the 1970s. It doesn't sound as though it belongs in the MCU. It's got no right to be a success. But see, when you start hearing Kevin Feige speaking about it in this way, and outing the villain, the leader of this ragtag group of sort of anti-heroes, you can't help but get the anticipatory juices are flowing. And I'm going to read it very briefly. And it is going to be brief because I'm running out of fucking time here, man. It's getting late. I've got a couple more topics to speak about here. And I like to talk and talk and talk and talk and talk. I'm 24 minutes deep already. I could go another fucking 40 minutes here easily, so I have to speed things up just a little bit. Kevin had this to say about Thunderbolts and the leader. We've got a lot of things that start shooting relatively soon. What's fun about that, and I sort of said this at D23, is that they are barely heroes. None of them would consider themselves heroes. Yeah, I don't know about that with Bucky Barnes, Kevin. You've kind of been laying that character out, dissecting them. He's like a fucking vivisection now. After what he's went through over the last 10 years. And to suggest he's not a hero anymore would be blasphemous. The man has literally went dark down into the recesses, deep down into the dark recesses of his soul. Brought up, exhumed all of these horrible experiences and events and murders that he has committed under sort of hypnosis. And he's righted all those wrongs. This man is now a fucking hero. What are you talking about? He's most definitely a hero. He might not consider himself a hero, but he is a hero. The slate has been wiped clean. So that's one thing I do slightly disagree with, but who am I? Beside Kevin Feige, this man knows much more about the characters that he has gave the world in terms of cinematically than I could ever dream of knowing. He had this to say: when your de facto leader is Bucky Barnes, that's sort of all you need to know. Yeah, Bucky Barnes is friend of Steve Rogers, a man who went through hell and back and has now redeemed himself and is a hero. Kevin, have you not been watching your own projects, mate? What the fuck? Sarah Finn, that's the trickle down, I should say. I missed a bit, but again, it's the amazing work that the casting director Sarah Finn has done across the whole MCU. She should be on good money because she has done a splendid job, it has to be said. If she is the one responsible for some of those big casting decisions, she has hit the fucking ball out the park again and again and again, it has to be said. You've got David Harbour and Florence Pugh, and these people who are at the top of their game and popping in everything they're doing. They're already here and established in the MCU, and we get to build a movie around them. It is interesting, to be fair. When it's all said and done, I do find it very intriguing where they're going to go with this. We do need different sort of heroic forms in this universe. We need characters who are willing to get their hands dirty to bring down someone like a Kang the Conqueror. They will all culminate, I'm absolutely certain, by the end of these movies, these phases, and work together as a cohesive whole to take down Kang the Conqueror. And you can't just have squeaky clean goody two-shoes getting that kind of job done. You need a multitude of different characters with different abilities, different sort of, what is it fucking Liam Neeson always says, I've got a particular set of skills, particular sets of skills to bring down a shady sort of time travelling motherfucker like Kang the Conqueror. And that's going to require people like this, outcasts, sort of misfits, strange bedfellows, Red Guardian, Yelena, Ghost, Taskmaster, Bucky Barnes, I think he's a White Wolf now, coming together and becoming more than the sum of their parts. And then when they develop this sort of teamwork, this chemistry, this fraternity, this sort of fucking brotherhood, sisterhood, whatever you want to call it, they can then go off like Guardians of the Galaxy, future adventures, future movies, if it's a success, and go into that sort of double-headed Avengers movies alongside all the other guys and be able to fucking take on a King. This is what you're going to see. I'm presuming Red Guardian in a bit of a dark place. Look at that mic just moving of its own accord. Taskmaster, a broken character. Ghost, a broken character. Bucky Barnes, a broken man. Yelena, just lost her fucking sister, a broken character, an assassin. They're all going to have to find themselves again and become greater than the sum of their parts without repeating myself. I'm slightly more excited about this movie now that I've seen that Bucky is the leader, because I do love Sebastian Stan. He's a brilliant actor, and really looking forward to seeing him grabbing these bulls, sort of metaphorical bulls by the horn, and fucking leading this group. It's just, who's the villain? This is what's going to make or break it. Who's going to be the sort of villainous turn in this movie? That will make or break the sort of stakes, the scale of it. It has to be perfect. I've got hope for it. I'm moving on though to that topic that I sort of clicked down for a brief moment. The Flash. Synopsis. Just a brief chance for me once again to discuss the trailer that dropped during the Super Bowl. It was fucking epic. I don't think my reaction quite did justice to how I was feeling watching that trailer. Sometimes I'm not as emotive on my own as I am in a sort of a dual reaction. I go a little bit inward, and the emotions don't rise readily to the actual face. But needless to say, I was fucking supremely excited about that trailer, supremely excited about seeing Michael Keaton, excited about seeing two Barrys, excited about seeing Ben back as Batman. Supergirl looked fucking incredible. Loved that stuff in that trailer where it was pausing, there was silence, then she would jump into another section of the screen and just open an utter can of whoop-ass to quote one Dwayne Johnson's Rock. It was an epic trailer, man. Everything you could want, the visuals, the music, the scale of it, the concept, just fucking epic. General Zod's back, Michael Shannon, fucking love Michael as well. Everything that I could want in a Flash movie was ticked off in that trailer. And yeah, the synopsis kind of just further dives down into that sort of mentalness, the sort of multiversal mess that Barry has created, trying to get back and save his family. Save his mother, I believe, or maybe his father, from being framed as the murderer of his mother. And as you can see here, worlds collide. This is the synopsis in The Flash, when Barry uses his superpowers to travel back in time in order to change the events of the past. But when his attempt to save his family inadvertently alters the future, Barry becomes trapped in a reality in which General Zod has returned, threatening annihilation. And there are no superheroes to turn to. That is, unless Barry can coax a very different Batman out of retirement and rescue an imprisoned Kryptonian, albeit not the one he's looking for. No, Supergirl, not Superman. We daren't bring Henry back. For God's sake, no. That man has no momentum. He would never be a success, would he? Hint, hint, wink, wink. Pricks at Warner Brothers executive. Ultimately, to save the world that he is in and return to the future that he knows, Barry's only hope is to race for his life. But will making the ultimate sacrifice be enough to reset the universe? I have to say, man, love the synopsis, love the fact it's sort of beset amongst the sort of familial grief and turbulence. His father, his mother, came back trying to save them. This is a guy who always seemed lost in the DCU. He was searching furiously for sort of parental guidance, an authoritative figure to lead him. He looked for it in Bruce's Batman. I think there was a brief moment with Cyborg as well, potentially. I'm not maybe lying about that. It's been a while since I've seen it, but he's always been scurrying around looking for that. My dog's scurrying around behind me just now. And just that concept of him going back and trying to repair sort of familial damage, family issues, and nearly bringing the annihilation of Earth and everything on it about in the process is a very interesting concept. The suit looked epic. Ezra looked epic. This man, they, I'm not even going to go into that, they have been through a really fucking crazy 18 to 24 months, been arrested multiple times, seem to have real mental issues. But I hope they get their fucking shit together, because they are a tremendous actor. And you can see it in that trailer, playing double sort of duty, two variations of Barry. And it just looks like they're fucking hitting it out the park in this movie. By all accounts, brainchild of the movie, brainchild of the script, fought furiously to get this movie made, when the executive were doing everything in their power to end it and their connection with the character. They were given an ultimatum about 3 years ago, I think, 3 years ago. They had about a month and a half to get the script together, present their vision. They did it, and I tell you, based off the trailer, based off the words of Peter Safran and James Gunn, this looks fucking epic. Based off these posters, based off this man returning as Batman, how fucking cool is Michael Keaton? How cool is this suit? How cool is that kill? Just unbelievable. There's multiple bat suits, incidentally. The costume designer was speaking about it. I was going to talk about this last night, but it never happened, because I decided to react to trailers that get fuck all views. That was a bad decision. The trailers are fucking... The trailer is epic. The actual posters are epic. I can't even speak. Look at that flick in the hair, man. Just cool as fuck, the flames. It just looks epic, man. The movie looks absolutely tremendous. I love the synopsis. I love everything that I should say, I keep slipping that, I'm not one that is familiar with using pronouns, so if I'm offending anybody, you have to forgive me. I'm a very simple man. I'm not used to using pronouns all that often. We're simple folk in Scotland, but I'm trying my best. They, just fucking produced a wondrous sort of vision for this character. Really, really, really looking forward to seeing how this shakes up the DCU, how James Gunn grabs the sort of aftermath and creates it in his own vision. Where we go with these characters. Hopefully Ezra can recover, can find redemption and come back and portray this character multiple more times if this movie is ultimately anywhere near as good as it seems to be in the promotion of it. I'm looking forward to it, man. I'm moving on though to the third topic. It's all about music in Scotland in this instance, and hits music and Scotland's sort of disastrous relationship with trying to ban sponsorship, be it gambling, be it in this instance alcohol. We've got the top music promoter within Scotland, my country incidentally, coming out and absolutely fucking panning the Scottish government, which is not something that is alien to Nicola Sturgeon and the SNP, who I vote for incidentally, because I want Scottish independence, and they are we're only conduit to said independence, sadly. I'm even more left than they are in terms of politics. They are more a centrist party. They're a means to an end, but they are getting fucking molligated just now from all angles. They seem to be putting their foot in it left, right and centre. And this is just a nonsense, a simple nonsense. This is a country which has built a reputation for being a hard drinking culture. Built a reputation for producing some of the finest spirits the earth has ever seen, tasted, got their nostrils about. And here we are, with them trying to ban potentially music and alcohol sponsors from happening. DF Concerts and Events, Scotland's biggest live music promoter, has said that proposals to ban alcohol sponsorship of live events will be disastrous for the live industry, but not just disastrous for the live industry, disastrous for the economy, for jobs being lost. Just a disaster, a fucking nonsense. They're trying it at non-sporting events, they're trying this nonsense in football, I presume, as well. It's never going to work. As you can see here, the consultation, although there is a strong academic evidence looking at the nature and extent of sports sponsorship in Scotland, as well as the impact sports sponsorship has generally, the extent and impact of sponsorship of non-sporting events has not been researched. Well, I can research it for you here. And I can tell you straight that these people, the promoters, are absolutely bang on. It will harm the economy, it will harm Scottish artists, it will harm Scottish businesses, it will reduce tourism, and Scotland will be placed in a weakened position. It is never going to work either. Scottish people love a drink, I love a drink, we love to drink spirits, we love to drink everything we can get our fucking chops around. And ultimately, whether you ban sponsorship from sporting venues, from music venues, from sort of festivals, ain't going to make any difference. People are going to drink until they are completely comatose. That is just what northwestern Europe is like in general, but certainly Scotland in a microcosm is like that. You're never going to stop it. It's culturally ingrained. I don't drink like that. I do love a fucking drink, but I do think that they are wasting their time. Ultimately, it's not going to impact upon new generations. It's not going to have any meaningful positive benefit for Scotland or music. And we tend to be trailblazing in this instance. We banned smoking, the UK followed suit. This would be a disaster for the likes of Glastonbury, the Reading Festival, just festivals in general. There has always been a collaboration of music, alcohol. It's something that works together. Drugs, something that works together. Some of the greatest bands in the history have sung about these things, going back now on 60 years. Don't do it. Just don't do it. Leave it alone. Let these promoters and these venues get their money through sponsorship and allow them to keep attracting top class fucking artists, musicians to this country. You're going to sell alcohol at the venue anyway. Why do it? It's a fucking nonsense. I just thought I'd speak about that briefly, because why not? It ticks off the music topic for the show. I was actually pondering doing a sports topic. It's entertainment, and sports is entertainment ultimately. So I was actually pondering flinging something in, maybe about the Super Bowl, which I loved. My team wasn't there, the New England Patriots, but I did enjoy it. I was supporting the Chiefs. Big fan of Patrick Mahomes, top class quarterback. Not so much a fan of Kelsey, I think his name's Kelsey. I can't remember how you pronounce his name, the tight end. He's a bit of a dick. But they're a wondrous team to watch when they're firing, and it was a superb Super Bowl. I really enjoyed it. I missed the first half. I missed the Eagles being on top. I missed the young man, blank on his name just now, but shocking, the quarterback for the Eagles, doing his thing. Legendary performance by all accounts. But I did get to see Patrick Mahomes come back and win it. Well, he didn't. It was a fucking field goal and they wasted time, and obviously the officials had a nightmare throwing that flag for pass interference. But ultimately, I really enjoyed that. That's what I'm saying. I know about a thing or two about sports. May introduce that into the odd talk show every now and again. But I'm ending with this. This is the final topic. It's about Hogwarts Legacy once again. I've been speaking about this game for fucking weeks, if not months, off camera. Certainly weeks in front of the camera. Bought this game on pre-order over a week ago. Been playing it for about a week. Thoroughly enjoying it. I'm on PC. I've not experienced any of these issues that I'm sort of showcasing down here in that sort of graphics bar. And indeed in this article. Downloaded the first patch. I didn't have issues before, I've not had issues after. I've not got the most powerful PC, but it's pretty fucking powerful. I have not had a single issue with performance. I did go on Reddit and put some settings in before I even hit Hogwarts in its virtual sort of form. I have not experienced any issues. The game is tremendous. It's a little bit lonely and a little bit isolated at times. There is issues with interaction and sort of some issues with the world in general that they have created, Avalanche Software, but this is a studio who had never tackled a game of this complexity, a game in this genre before, and I have to say they have hit the ball out the fucking park. It is a wondrous, magical experience, visually stunning, and I still, even now, a week in, I catch myself traversing about on a broom or walking down to Hogsmeade and just casting a little glancing eye at Hogwarts and thinking, fuck me, this is incredible. And it helps when you've got a lovely big monitor that I've got, a big curved monitor that envelops you into the world. But yeah, needless to say, there has been people on the PC platform experiencing some issues with this game. It has been stuttering, there has been performance issues. The developers, Avalanche, have released a patch trying to resolve the issues, and as you can see, it has been done to address overall gameplay, performance and stability, but it has not fixed everyone's issues, which is a shame for the people struggling. And it seems the people who are struggling are the ones with 4080 graphics cards, which should have no problem running this game whatsoever. I have to stress, I'm not running it on ultra by any means. High and ultra sort of mismatch, and I have had no fucking issues. I have had no issues whatsoever, so I do feel for these people. As you can see here, there's some people mentioned that there's been bugs. It doesn't, however, say that HL14 on the Warner Brothers forum say that the issue HL14 on the Warner Brothers forum for FPS drops has been fixed. One of the most popular issues on the forum's bug reporting section. As you can see, multitude of problems for some people. Shaders, DirectX 12 fucking issues. A shame, really. That's not fixed one single thing for this poor fella. But as I said, thankfully I've not had any of those fucking issues. And I just thought I'd address it. It's just really me using this as an excuse, really, to talk about my experience on this game one last time, because I won't be speaking about it again unless something else happens, DLC, something. I was going to speak about modding. There's a multiplayer mod happening. People are already fucking on the ball with this, man, and I have to say, just mind-blowing what the fucking collective talents, coders on the internet can fucking do in a week with a game that's not even getting mod support. Just really enjoying the game, man. Sad to see that some people are not having quite as joyous an experience. They are having some issues in terms of performance with the PC in particular, and that patches have not addressed it. Hopefully, in the coming weeks, if not this week, something can be done. Nvidia, AMD can release sort of performance related updates that help these poor folks out, because they are missing out, sadly, on a fucking brilliant video game from Avalanche. A superb, magical experience for Harry Potter fans out there, and non-Harry Potter fans alike. I'm done though. I'm done speaking, the show is over. It's been 43 minutes long. I never anticipated it being this long. I can talk the hind legs off of anything, so it shouldn't be that much of a surprise. But needless to say, what's your thoughts on the array of topics I've touched upon? If you've somehow got to this point after the live stream has ended and it sits there as a nice little sort of recorded video on YouTube on our channel. What's your thoughts on Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania? The reviews, the early reviews, been slightly more mixed than the reactions last week after the premiere, saying it's fun but lacks substance. They seem to be universal in their praise of Kang the Conqueror himself, Jonathan Major's performance. They're still saying it's an enjoyable, fun experience, but ultimately lacks a little bit of meat and bones when it comes to Cassie and Scott and the familial stuff they have been shown off in the trailers. Share your thoughts down below about that, about the MCU's Thunderbolts and Bucky Barnes being thrust forward as the leader of the Thunderbolts. Has Kevin Feige's words on this movie excited you a little bit more? Because I was on the fence, borderline not looking forward to it. Now I have changed my tune a little bit. What's your thoughts on the Flash synopsis on the trailer, on those posters? Are you excited for it? If you get any thoughts on music over in the UK, potentially the governments, in particular the Scottish government, try to ban alcohol related sponsors at music, at live events. Do you think it's as balmy as I do? Thoughts on Hogwarts Legacy, its performance issues for some people, any experiences you've had with the game? Share your thoughts down below if you've got anything to say. Down below in the comment section is the place to put it. You can also like the video if you've enjoyed it, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell icon to get notifications straight to your eyeballs on YouTube. Do the same thing over on Twitch, follow button, notifications button over there. All that's left to be said though is, until the next time, I am done. I'm going to rest my weary voice and say bye-bye. Trying to time that with manually clicking an end screen macro. It's a fucking pain in the arse. Bye-bye.